Hello, happy Monday. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening to you beautiful souls, you beauty makers. I am so happy you are here. Welcome to your weekly dose of sanity. This is going to be a good one. Stick around. My name's Janina Riccio. I'm president of YesTM Whole Studio. And it's my calling to help design professionals to be more sane, happy, and prosperous while you're still crushing it in business. In my work as a business advisor and a coach, we work on the inside job and the interpersonal dynamics and the operational messiness that comes with running a business and from being human. My focus on that inside work is about stopping self-sabotage, really coming to know, love, and trust yourself, all of you as a whole person, and developing the mindset and mental fitness to deal with all that life and this crazy industry has to throw at us. Now, what you all do is part technical, part artistic, and part magical. And my work is the same. So, in these sessions, we're going to explore tools and ideas from all three buckets. Today, we're jumping into the practical bucket. So, buckle up. I am a lifelong learner. I'm a devotee of personal growth, a student of neuroscience, and also of energy medicine, for which I have a master's certification. There's the magic. I also have an MBA, an associate's in applied science, an undergraduate degree in finance, which is going to come in handy today, and 3 decades of related work experience. And I call this dose of sanity because so many of the ways we respond to life and to work aren't actually sane. They're reactive, rushed, and fueled by fear and pressure. Oxford defines sanity as reasonable, sensible thinking. That's it. That's what we're practicing here. Nothing super fancy, just coming back to ourselves and to basics. So take a breath. All is well. You've got this. And as usual, we're going to start with some PQ reps just to get ourselves present in our bodies, quiet the mental chatter. And then I'm going to share a simple but really essential and powerful tool for your business to for clarity, which clarity does help you have more sanity. We can be more reasonable and sensible when we are clear. Okay, so by now, if you've done this before, you know the drill, but if you're new, I'd invite you to close your eyes, or if that feels weird, just gaze down in front of you, with a soft gaze, and hands on your lap, feet flat on the floor, legs uncrossed. And just start by taking a couple of deep breaths. Really inhale slowly through your nose, all the way down to your belly. Fill up your belly like a giant beach ball. Many of us just breathe up here and that actually doesn't help our nervous system relax. It keeps us in like tense. So really deep breath in through your nose, down to your belly. Just fill up your belly. Feel it pushing out against your, pant waist. And then exhale out your mouth if you like. Make a ha, an audible sound. Do another one of those deep inhales into your belly. Let it go. Feel your shoulders drop. And now just return to your normal pattern of breathing and put all of your attention on the mechanics of your breath. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your shoulders or chest or stomach. Maybe you like it better putting all your attention at the opening of your nostrils and noticing the air as it enters your nostrils and then as it exits your nostrils, whichever one you prefer. I like to give options. So just a few quiet, normal breaths. Your mind is going to keep going. That is what it's meant to do. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not bad at this. That's our mind thinks. So just go, oh, I'm thinking. Oh, I'm planning. Oh, I'm on my to-do list. Oh, I left my body. And just come back to the breath. It's as simple as that. These PQ reps are all about focusing on one of your senses. And when we put all of our attention on one of our senses, the survival brain quiets down. So that's never going away. That's the bad news. The good news is you can make it quiet and you can put it in the back seat. Okay. I love using my sense of hearing. So if that works for you, now put all your attention on your sense of hearing and listen to all the ambient sounds in the room that you're in. Great. Now shift that focus a tiny bit and listen for the farthest away sound that you can hear. And remember, your mind's going to keep popping in and doing its thing. It's okay. Now shift your focus to the closest sound you can hear. Maybe that's your own breathing. Listen for your breath, sound of your breath. Good work. Let's say hello to our toes. Just feel all the places where your feet contact the floor and see if you can locate all of your toes. Give them a wiggle. Say hello. Really focus on just those toes, however many you have. 9, 10, 11. It's okay. Um, just shifting to our sense of touch now and sensation. And next we'll take two fingertips, rub them gently together with such focus that you can feel the ridges on both fingertips. Sometimes I do better with my thumb and middle finger than the pointer finger for some reason. So you can play around with that. The key here is really shifting all of your attention to those sensations of touch. All right, and now lastly, we're going to take all the fingertips of one hand, gently rub them against the fingertips and palm of the other hand, and notice all the sensations of touch. Great job. And open your eyes and come back when you're ready. A PQ rep is 10 seconds, so that was probably, I don't know, 36 PQ reps. And notice your body, notice the quality of your breath. Notice if there's areas that were kind of scrunched before that are a little more relaxed and maybe the mind is settled a bit. Good work. Okay. I promised you getting practical, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to be exploring the profit and loss statement of a small interior design firm, otherwise known as a P&L. Okay. And nobody seems to talk about this. We didn't learn about it in design school, at least not at my school back in the day. You know, money can be a taboo topic, and we all have our kind of quirks with our relationship to money and finances. Um, and so, we didn't go to business school. I mean, I did, but many of us didn't. You're artists, you're creatives, and you're like, a financial statement, eek, kryptonite. It can be a big mystery and it can be really scary. So today, we're going to stay very top line and simplify, 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 boil down that P&L to its essence. And what I'm talking about, what we're going to be talking about is sort of the um, target or benchmark percentages for each category in the P&L. But before I get to that, do you have a P&L for your business? If not, you do need one. Don't panic. Don't need one today per se, but it's something you should be working on. It's one of the very basic tools you can use for guiding your business and for getting a snapshot, not of everything, but of your financial health really quickly and easily. If you don't have a bookkeeper, you really should get one. Even if you're one person, you are not a bookkeeper. Delegate that work to someone who knows it and who loves it. And that will give you more time to do what you know and love. Um, or if you happen to be keeping your own books in some kind of accounting software, it will definitely have a P&L in like the report section or whatever they call it that you can print out monthly. You really should be looking at this monthly. Um, and then I guess the second question is if you have one, do you look at it? Do you know what you're looking at? Do you use it as a tool? And none of this is meant to be shaming or blaming for anybody, but um, just saying we're in business and this is a primary business tool. So like I said, we're going to keep it very simple and look at the benchmark percentages of each category on your P&L. And I am going to share. No fancy slides here, my friends. You're looking at it. And I might look to the side because it's on another monitor for me. So here's a typical structure of an interior design firm. A small, I'll say under 1 million in revenue. And this is one also that sells furnishings. I know some interior design firms are fee only and they don't get into the business of trading goods. That's a slightly different picture. So actually, I'll in real time, I'm gonna add, okay, duh, your top line, your revenue is 100%. And in the firms we're talking about here, the ones who sell furnishings, some amount of that revenue is going to come straight from design fees, and some of it's going to come from furnishings. Okay. And, that we can go down a whole rabbit hole with that. We're not going to. This is very top line um, stuff for you today. Yeah, that's just a one. Nope. Okay. Okay, and then below that, you're going to see something called COGS or cost of goods sold. These are your direct project costs. This is what you, the design firm, are paying for whatever you're buying. Furniture, lamps, fabric to make draperies, actually the labor for draperies, carpet installation, all the stuff, including the freight, the installation, and any subcontractors you're using, like workrooms and what have you. Okay, this decimal point's annoying me. Um, you get a little insight into my brain. Okay, so if you're starting with 100% and you've got a cost of goods sold, which by the way, we're just doing this on the fly, is subtracted 40 to 60%. Um, your cost of goods sold of your is 40, 60% of your revenue, you're going to be left with a gross profit, which is revenue minus cost of goods sold of 40 to 60%, because 100 minus 60% is 40. 100 minus 40% is 60. Um, if you're very service heavy and light on the product, this number is going to be bigger because you're not subtracting any or a much smaller cost of goods sold. Um, Now, your operating overhead, operating expenses, business expenses, you'll hear it called a lot of things. These are things like salaries, including yours, unless you're taking an owner draw, that's a different thing. But salaries, rent, marketing, you know, phone, insurance, all that good stuff is going to be, it's a big range here. 25 to 40% again of revenue. You probably want to target somewhere around 30 to 33%. We'll get to that in a minute. But so we're going to take our revenue minus our cost of goods sold is gross profit. When we subtract these expenses from it of 25 to 40%, that's going to leave you with a net profit, which is gross profit minus those operating expenses, around the 10 to 20% of revenue mark. Some really peak firms and very high end might be in the 20 to 30% range, but if you're at 15 or 20, you are doing great. Okay, so that's a theoretical percentages. So let's put some very basic numbers against it. Okay, make these easy numbers. So if you're making $1 million in revenue, um, your cost of goods sold is probably about 50% or $500,000. That leaves you with a $500,000 gross profit. If your overhead's about 35%, and this is the number that can usually start creeping. Um, but so if it is at around 35% of the million, you're going to take 500,000 minus 350,000 is going to give you a net profit of 150,000 or 15% of that total revenue. Now, a couple of notes. If the gross profit is dropping below 45%, um, you're going to start feeling it. The business is going to start feeling cash crunched. And again, the other place where we can leak is in this overhead number. So that's one you really want to watch. And uh, if we have time at the end, I'm going to talk about at different phases of a firm, these numbers, these percents can be a little bit different, but this is a very top line picture. Now, I mentioned earlier that if you're very service heavy or very product heavy, some of these numbers can vary. So a product heavy firm, the gross margins probably more in the 40 to 45 or 50%. A service heavy firm is going to be more 60 to 75%. Here's one handy dandy little metric for you as a quick test, and it's gross profit per employee. So healthy small firms usually land around 180,000 to 220,000 in gross profit per team member. So, for example, if you have a $500,000 gross profit and three people, that's 150K per person. It's tight, but maybe still workable. If that gross profit per person drops below 150K, you might really start feeling some cash pressure. Okay, so that's your basic P&L. Jot those down or hit rewind. Check out the replay in my YouTube channel. Um, so just to add in another layer, your firm may go through different financial structures or stages depending on the stage of your business. So we've got sort of the founder solo stage when is really high because you're the only one doing the work. Um, so you have usually your expenses are much lower. You might not have an office. You've just got very bare bones like insurance and your phone and that sort of a thing. But the stress tends to be quite high in that phase, right? Then we've got that middle stage, sort of the early team stage, which is maybe around 700,000 to 1.5 million. And actually, profit tends to dip here, which is totally normal, but founders don't really expect it. But you're kind of in growth mode, so you're adding people, and maybe at first they're not at all at 100% capacity, so your revenue isn't maxing out yet. And that in that case, the stress can tend to even get a little higher at first when you're in that first growth phase after being a solopreneur. And then we get to the level of a more structured firm. I say that's over 1.5 million to 3 million, and profit can really go up here. You are cranking when everybody's, billing at capacity and working at capacity, and the stress tends to go down for that reason. Um, One thing I will say is that the when you're a fee-only firm, when you're not getting into furnishings and selling stuff, it's a simpler business model, probably lower stress, but also your revenue capability is capped at how many people you have and how much work they can do, right? Because you're just billing on hours. You're strictly a time for money business. And so the way to grow that is either hire more people or raise your rates, which is fine. You can do that. Um, the blended type of firm where you're also selling furnishings is definitely more complex from an accounting standpoint, from a process standpoint. It takes more hours. There's more room for error and maybe even liability when you're getting into product. And it's also a lot more profitable. If you could have the same core team of four people, but if you're doing projects with massive furniture budgets, like you can really reap the rewards of that. Um, there's also a common sort of profitability ceiling at about 700 to 900,000 in revenue for interior design firms. It doesn't mean this is like a revenue or profit limit. It's more like a structural break point. It's where firms move from that founder assistant to the first real team structure. The business is shifting from a talented individual practice to an organization. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about P&Ls. I hope that gave you some clarity. Maybe it gave you some homework. Um, Please feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk about this more. Um, I'm going to do another episode with some key performance indicators that just like three or four of them that you can get a snapshot of every month to really keep a pulse on the business and be nimble and notice early when you might need to make some changes. So again, this doesn't have to be complicated. It can get complicated, but it really doesn't have to be at this level. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, just, like we stay on top of our own health, we need to stay on top of the health of our own business, and the P&L can be a really good way to do that. It's like checking your pulse or getting some quick blood work done. Um, I really appreciate you participating today and for taking 30 minutes for yourself and for your business. These will be on my YouTube channel, so you can revisit any of these anytime. Please like and subscribe while you're there. It's Janina Riccio, Y2Y. And as you head into your week, remember, you get to choose how you show up. And also, please remember that all is well and you've got this. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.